Welcome to Brainstorming America. I'm Ken Rollins, and I really want to yodel for you if you hear my voice. We're here today with John Merrill. John, good to see you, brother.
Hey, Ken, great to be with you as always.
Yeah. Traveling man. That man goes all over the country. And today, he ain't no telling how many states he'll be in today. But anyhow, we're here to talk about the things that are important to you, the viewer, and we go in depth on those issues. And then we're going to get started right into some of them. And John, I made some notes of things that are hot on the press, so to speak. And our president was questioned about those secret documents that he had in 4 different places, and we heard crickets about, when Trump was down at all of his in Mar-a-Lago. And Biden has them in 4 different places, and he was questioned last week by the special counsel. Did you hear anything about it?
No, sir.
It does something. It's a hot topic if it's one person.
That's right.
Would that be considered a 2-tier punishment?
It would, and it would be considered selective journalism, which is a major problem for us in trying to get strong reports from the media that are fair and balanced. One of the things that happened when we were growing up, whether you were watching ABC, CBS, or NBC News, you always knew that the information that was shared with you was the best that they could find, and it was the most accurate that they could find, and that they would not deliver or report that news unless it was accurate, complete, and up to date, and had numerous sources that validated the information that was being introduced to you. But today, that's not the case. And it's selective journalism, which breeds contempt on the part of the viewer and the listener, makes you question whether or not there's any accuracy or validity to what you're hearing, and makes you wonder if all the things that have been shared with you are actually accurate, and if they need to be advanced or if they need to be filed in number 13.
You're talking about Walter Cronkite.
Yes, sir. Walter Cronkite, Chet Huntley, David Brinkley, Harry Reasoner, Howard K. Smith, even up until Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw. When those things started to change, when the major news network, CNN, started on June the 1st, 1980, it kind of changed the complexion of how news was. June the 1st, 1982, we started with headline news. Well, headline news, as it was introduced at that particular time, was a 20-minute segment that had news, it had sports, and it had weather in your particular area. And then they would rotate that, and every 20 minutes it would be repeated for an hour. Then they would broadcast it again. Now there's still a headline news network, but it's not headline news. Yeah. It's special topics that they introduce. They still call it headline news, but it has nothing to do with headlines. And there's so many minutes that they have to fill on their broadcast for the news segments on CNN and Fox and MSNBC and all the other networks, that they put all of this crap on there that's not even valid and of no interest to most viewers. And so people are distracted by that, and instead of going there to get that as your primary news source, you have to rely on your own ability to research what it is that's important to you and to make sure that it is accurate, so you know that for you it is fair and balanced.
I think, and to the people out there that's watching us, and they're watching the main networks, they need to know the difference between a broadcaster and a journalist. And like Sean Hannity, for example. Sean is an opinion giver. He's an opinionated person. He gives his opinion of all things, just like we're doing. I'm not a journalist, and neither is John. But we don't claim to be. That's the difference. Some of these people claim to be journalists. If you're taught to be a journalist, you're taught fairness, you're taught non-bias. You would never report something that just because you believe in that product or that person, or you like that person or don't like. You would never do that as a journalist. So when you hear somebody say, I'm a journalist, make sure that you look through that and say, are they reporting facts or are they reporting their opinion? And what we're doing is we're just reporting what we've already seen, try to give you our point on it, and never telling you that we are journalists and we are the experts in any of this stuff. So you need to be careful what you're viewing. And these kids that are running up and down the streets right now, they're watching people who were opinionated about the country of Palestine or whatever. They hate Jewish people. You can't do that, and journalists can't do that. But they're teaching these young kids the wrong stuff, giving them wrong information. The Hamas attack that we had just a few days ago on October the 7th, I believe it was.
Yes, sir.
They had done something. I've been in 2 wars. I never seen, even with ISIS, these people had GoPros on. They went in killing, murdering, burning, stabbing.
Yes, sir.
With GoPros to document what they were doing.
Yes, sir.
So their bosses could be proud of them. Think about that, folks. These killers, they shouldn't even be given the look at like ISIS. ISIS cut heads off and things, but I never saw a video of it.
But Ken, that's part of the problem that we have now, because our politics are so strange in the United States today. People have lost the idea about the focus of the United States relationship with Israel. A lot of people, especially people that are watching our show, may not even know that Alabama, the state of Alabama, the Alabama legislature, was the first governmental body in the United States of America to endorse and accept the country of Israel when it was reestablished in the 1940s. I'm very proud of that. I shared that and was treated with distinction when I was in Israel in December of 2019 because of Alabama's relationship with the Israelis. And we have to remember that God chose the Israelites and God has ordained that country. And it's important to the Lord God Almighty that they continue to be a country and be successful. And that's the reason why America has to be behind Israel, and why we hope you will choose to be so too. We hope you'll join us right after this break and return for the second segment of this week's episode of Brainstorming America.
Welcome back to Brainstorming America. Ken Rollins here with John Merrill. John, I mentioned that Hamas, the one thing I've never seen was the GoPros, when it's documenting it for history. Katie Britt, our senator, she went over and they showed them, her and a few other select people, the actual viewing of it. I watched that girl in tears telling about it. I watched Martha McCullough on Fox News last night crying.
Yes, sir.
When they broke down. I watched Anderson Cooper, of all people.
Yes, sir.
Got choked up. When you watch this, the beheading of children, the burning of bodies, and making the children watch them murder their parents, and watch the parents murder the children, watch the parents had to watch the murdering of their children. That is the most, these are not even human beings, in my book. And that's what we're facing. And they are not going to stay there. They're going to come in through, they already got some of that from that land over there coming through our southern border. And we're in trouble. We are in bad trouble because it's not far from that border to where we're sitting right now.
That's exactly right. And that's why we have to continue to show our support through our state and federal government to the people of Israel and to those that are fighting this horrific battle as has been foreshadowed in the Bible. And these are the days that we are required to stand up and to push back. And we have to continue to do that. I'm very thankful for Senator Britt's leadership, very thankful for Senator Tuberville's leadership, very thankful for the people that represent us in the Congress, especially Congressman Rogers, who's very interested in making sure that we have the necessary defense forces in place to support the people of Israel during this very trying time.
But that's another thing I want to get in here before we. There's been a lot of talk about the $6 billion. I know everybody out here in our viewing audience has heard about that, where Biden gave $6 billion to Iran after they released our hostage. And then he says the money gone to Qatar, or Qatar, or however you want to say it. and they have to hold on to it until they're given permission to use it. All together out there in the audience, right? Yeah, sure. But anyhow, I found out yesterday when one of the Biden people was being questioned, he was asked, can the Iranians get to their hands to that money if they want to? His answer was a explicit yes. So Iran can get to that $6 billion that Biden gave them, and $6 billion worth of ammo would really help those people in Hezbollah, Hamas, all those others. So think about that. And on the, John, have we lost a generation of kids? These kids that we see out protesting.
I think we're losing them every day, Ken, and that's a major problem, not just today, but also for the future. Because until they decide that they understand and know what it is to be a citizen of the United States and understand and accept that as their responsibility, we're going to continue to have issues and problems. The biggest problems that we're going to have is when these people continue to age and to take on other positions of leadership at the city council, at the county commission, at the state legislative, and the U.S. Congress, in the U.S. Senate, and ultimately in the presidency. That is a major problem for us, and we have to start correcting that now as we continue to move forward.
You said they got to learn to be this or be that. And not being ugly, but where would they learn this?
Well, they're supposed to learn it at their homes.
Right.
It's supposed to be taught by their parents, by their mothers and fathers. Unfortunately, many of them don't have a mother and a father in their home. And even if they have grandparents, they're not listening to them. They're not paying attention to those adults that are in their lives, and the things that they're actually getting from school are not the things that they need to be getting like we got that helped educate us as youthful citizens that became adult tax-paying citizens that became individuals who were responsible for directing the path of our country.
The floor manager, Jeff, what would you do if one of your kids was on eating the news doing some of the things you see these kids doing? Folks, you couldn't see that, but he was like,
get the bell back.
Hey, you got to say something. You can't do that all. Anyhow, I think that's what most of us would do. There's folks that I saw one yesterday. I should have asked Chief Partridge because a guy worked for him that had the Moderna shot, and so many people that's had that thing have got serious problems. And he's got an officer on his police force that nearly dead because of it. The Moderna shot. I didn't take that. I took the Pfizer. Do you know anybody that got affected by that?
I do know some people that have been negatively impacted because of the shots related to the coronavirus, but I will tell you this, I'm through with my shots. I've had all the shots I'm going to take, and it has been revealed over now a 3-year period of time that if you are a healthy person that is taking their vitamins, that's eating right, that's getting exercise, that there are very few instances where anybody has been negatively impacted by the coronavirus to the point where they need additional attention through medication. And I'm through with medication. We hope that you're through with your medication for today, and you'll join us for the third segment of this week's episode of Brainstorming America. We'll see you back in just a second.
Welcome back to Brainstorming America. Ken Rollins here with John Merrill. John, when this thing is happening over in the war with Israel, we're going to see gas prices shoot through the roof because of the oil with Iran. And they are a big supplier. And so the people out there are going to probably see $5, $6 a gallon gas, the way it looks now.
Well, it wouldn't be surprising, and of course, the disappointment that we've experienced since Joe Biden has been our president and since he made the unilateral decision to stop drilling and to control the completion of the XL pipeline and to make sure that the other things that were so necessary to advance the exploration of oil were discontinued. It's resulted in higher gas prices, higher oil prices, delayed transportation options, delayed delivery of wholesale items, and major production items all across the country. And as we continue to experience that, it's going to continue to result in a delayed economy and a delayed effort to grow in our economy now and in the future.
He refused to replenish our emergency storage.
Yes, sir, in the oil reserves.
So we don't even have any, I think, for emergency. And I don't understand it. There was a fellow talking last night, I won't mention, but he said that the things that Biden has done were just done. It's okay, what are you going to do for America? Well, anything that Trump put on the books, take it out. Trump put it on the book, take it out. Everything that has been done negatively that's harmed this country was because Trump had done it. The trade deals, the things that they had with the Green New Deal, all that stuff, Biden has taken off of the plate because Trump did it. And that sounds like playground.
Well, Ken, that's ignorant, and that's a major problem that we face in our nation today, because one of the things that we see is Republicans who say, well, if that was a Democratic idea, it has no value. And Democrats that say, if a Republican was the one that thought about that, we certainly don't even need to consider it or to continue it. And I can't think of anything more ignorant than unilaterally making a decision like that simply because it was introduced or identified by one party or one individual with a different political philosophy than you have. The example that I've given consistently over the years about this is one related to athletics, and it's about Auburn. In 2010, Auburn had an outstanding football team, national championship caliber football team. They won the national championship, the second one in the history of their program. But one of the things that Auburn did that year was to run a play that was exceptional. Cam Newton would go back to pass, and he would set up on the right side and then throw back to Phil Lutzenkirchen, who was their outstanding tight end, who is since deceased, and have that always go for a first down or a touchdown each and every time throughout the season. And that would be the same thing if a coach from the University of Alabama, which is the team that I support, would say, well, we're not ever running that play because that's an Auburn play. Well, that would be stupid to have that idea that we don't want to run a very successful play just because it was an Auburn play. It's a good play. Run the play. Mm-hmm. You want to do what is best for your team to have a chance to win. And we want to do what's best for our country. We want to do what's best for the people of our country, regardless of who has the idea. That's why we have the deliberative bodies, so we can continue to talk about why we should advance this issue or why we need to make sure that we end discussion on that particular topic.
So to be a good president, all you'd have to do is continue this, because continue that and continue that, and don't care who gets the credit for it. Well, I think it's Ronald Reagan said, you did do it, it doesn't matter who gets the credit.
That's what President Reagan said, there's no limit to what can be accomplished if nobody cares who gets the credit.
Who gets credit. I remember that. I just don't remember how he said it.
Yes, sir.
I thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome.
We got something else I want to talk about. This is every segment I want to talk about the fentanyl. 75,000 fentanyl deaths in 2022. You heard me.
Yes,
75,000. You know how many was killed in the Vietnam War?
58,000?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
58,000 in a war that lasted over 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And fentanyl's killed 75,000. 20,000 more than the war, the largest war in history.
Unbelievable.
Longest war in history. I said something about it earlier, but I want to hit on it real good and let the people out there know. Biden was talking about gun violence, and he made the statement that there's no way that a weapon should handle 70 rounds in the chamber. Now, folks, the chamber is like putting them in the barrel. There's no weapon that will hold 70 rounds in the chamber. And the clip, yeah, but not the chamber. It shows what he knows about what he's trying to get rid of. So, I want to make sure y'all got that. Another thing that is determined by one of those agencies, that the dirtiest oil in the world, the dirtiest oil being put on the market, is from Venezuela. Yet the Biden administration is buying oil from Venezuela to put in our vehicles. And I could tell you some of the names of the stations that belong to Venezuela. 2 of them as you go into Montgomery. So you're worried about pollution, yet you buy the worst oil. You get rid of the cleanest oil, ours. You stop drilling ours and refining it, and you buy the worst oil out there to do more pollution than any other. Does that make any sense, John?
It makes no sense, and especially when you think about the reserves that are available to us in the ground that have never been mined, that have never been struck, that have never been identified. How much oil there is there will last all of our lifetimes and beyond. And we need to continue to try to promote the use of the natural resources that we have with oil and gas in the United States before we start relying on other countries that are not nearly as capable of producing and refining at the same level that we are. But we know that you are quite comfortable with our efforts to try and make sure that we're doing everything we can to inform you each and every week. We thank you for joining us for the 38th episode of Brainstorming America. We'll see you back here again next week.